If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard in Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Voting isn't just going to the polls on Election Day anymore. Options like early voting, mail-in voting, and ballot drop boxes are available to more voters and are growing in popularity. How to Vote, a tool created by Democracy Works, breaks down the options your state offers for casting a ballot, empowering you to decide when and where to vote. Democracy works best when we all vote, but misinformation and confusion about election procedures have resulted in a low voter turnout. How to Vote, a tool created by Democracy Works, takes the guesswork out of the voting process. Go to Ballot Ready for a nonpartisan guide to your entire ballot. From there, you can compare candidates based on stances on issues, biographies, and endorsements, and save your choice to use when you vote by mail or in voting booth. You can even request your absentee ballot or make a plan to vote early on Election Day. This election matters. Make sure you have a plan to vote and vote informed. This year, with changes to polling places and vote-by-mail laws as a result of COVID, it is more important than ever to have a plan to vote. Local elected officials affect our lives every day. They decide who to prosecute, monitor, or quality of our drinking water, and choices for the leadership of our schools. 30% of our voters take the time to vote and then leave some part of their ballot blank. This is a missed opportunity to choose the leaders of our communities. It's okay if you're unfamiliar with some of the local positions. We recommend hosting a ballot party. Get together with your friends or over Zoom, split up the research, and go through your ballots together.
Welcome, everybody, to the Pro Zone. This is Rick Del Santo, and joining me tonight on this Wednesday night is Dan the Beast, 1994. Now, one of the things that I'd like to bring up with, of course, non-wrestling related, rock legend Eddie Van Halen has passed, one of the greatest guitarists, I should say, of all time, and it's very sad. The age of 65, throat cancer. He was a very big part of my childhood, growing up in the early 80s. I mean, I guess that, he was very influential. I think they had their fourth or fifth album out around that time period that I was getting into them, and they were a very special band. They were probably the biggest band at that time period, when 1984 came out, and so it's very it's a heavy loss that Eddie Van Halen had passed.
Yeah, I would say Eddie Van Halen was definitely the king of electric guitar, especially around that time period. And he definitely played an influential part in my childhood as well. Growing up, kid, Power Rangers fan, the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie came out. Right at the end, they played Dreams, and this was during the Sammy Hagar era, but, it was one of those songs that I was like, wow, that's a good song. Let me look this up.
That's a great song. That's a great song. I listened to that album yesterday, actually. I think that I always say a lot of things are underrated, but the Sammy Hagar era does not get enough credit, I think. I just look at it as two different bands, you know what I mean? It's like the same band, but it's like two different bands, I love David Lee Roth era, but I also really like the Sammy Hagar era, especially the 5150 and the one what's the one that came out after that? You wait one too? That's what I thought. Yeah. I saw them on the Balance tour. I think had to be the early '90s, and it was quite the impressive show. Sammy Hagar was still with the group. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So. And oh boy, what was I going to say? I know there was an interesting fact that came out when they were auditioning for lead singers after David Lee Roth. One of the guys who was in line for being a lead singer was Hall from Hall & Oates.
Daryl Hall? That would have been a very, very interesting lineup. Do you ever watch his TV show? Was that Live at Daryl's House? I know it was on was that on MTV2, or I think it was on VH1 for a while too.
This was a while back.
Yeah, well, yeah. But he has a TV show. He owns a rock club in New York. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. It's like probably maybe an hour from where you and I live, and it's like right over the state border from Connecticut to roughly. But he has a TV show that he records out of there where he joins in with certain bands, and he'll perform with them. And he joined in with one of my favorite bands of all time, and played second guitar and stole the vocal position for Cheap Trick on the TV show. So it was a lot of fun to watch him. And then I got to get up there because I saw them make chicken wings in the kitchen, and they sell them in the restaurant. And they look pretty fucking good. They went in the kitchen with the chef. So it looks like a lot of fun, that place to hang out at. A lot of great bands played there. Every now and again you'll see a cool Facebook stream of a concert that's happening there. I think Los Lobos played there one day, and it was phenomenal. Like watching that performance on Facebook. We're not here to talk about rock and roll, really. I mean, it's one of our favorite things to talk about outside of professional wrestling, but there's so much to talk about in professional wrestling. There's a lot of great stuff. Tonight we're going to be talking about some Impact Wrestling. I thought it was a pretty decent episode. What do you think?
You know what? I like this episode. This was the episode right after Victory Road. Mm-hmm. And this is actually our first time reviewing Impact in probably like a month or so. So
yeah, I know. We got to get on the ball. We got to get on the ball. So, yeah, no, there was some good matches here. Apparently, I did not get to see Victory Road. Dan, did you watch it?
I did not. I mean, I've seen some recaps. Obviously, we've seen as Eric Young retained the Impact World Championship against Eddie Edwards via submission, and after focusing on the injured knee. So,
mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been relatively busy lately, so it's like I'm trying to keep up in as much wrestling as I can.
But now what's really cool is, now we have Rich Swann in the picture, trying to seek some retribution, and now he's number one contender.
I want to know how he barely wrestled this year, and he's number one contender, considering he came out and he was still fucking crippled, hopping along like Peg Leg Pete. So I have no idea how he's number one contender. Has he? I know we haven't reviewed Impact in about a month, so we haven't kept up on it as much as we should. So, has he wrestled at all in that time period?
Oh boy, the last time I could say I recall seeing him wrestle was when we reviewed the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, and that's when we had the 5-way match.
Was it Bound for Glory or Slammiversary?
Slammiversary, yeah. Okay.
All right, I was going to say, because I think Bound for Glory is coming up in 3 weeks, which I'm looking forward to reviewing that because it looks like it's going to be a really good show. So Brian Myers and Tommy Dreamer started the show, and Brian Myers won by disqualification because Tommy Dreamer beat the shit out of him with a kendo stick after Myers took it into the ring. Kendo sticks are like one of the most overused things in professional wrestling outside of the Canadian Destroyer. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. The kendo stick.
I would say it's very more useful now, especially nowadays in Impact. I feel like every Impact show, like somebody has a Singapore cane. It's either Eddie Edwards, Tommy Dreamer. Now we have Brian Myers on here, but we get a rematch of these two New Yorkers, and it doesn't take long before the fight goes outside. And the way I see this, I'm loving the fact that Brian Myers is finally getting the window of opportunity when it comes to like more TV time, just showcasing what he was really about. So
they show that he's actually more than capable of wrestling and doing than what he did when he was in that other organization. In WWE. Right. He's actually quite the talented wrestler. He's not generic or just subpar like a lot of people say. I think some people I've spoken to just don't think much of him because of his experience, their experience in seeing him there as basically a jobber.
Right.
And, I think he's, I don't know. I think he's quite the talented young man. Not young man, Jesus Christ. Listen to me. I'm sounding like an old person. But I thought this was overall a pretty fun match, pretty good. And the disqualification, I hate when opening matches end in disqualification. I know I've mentioned that a million times before. That always irks me. But this is TV, so let's get a little bit more leeway.
And I like the fact that right towards the end, Dreamer, he wields the candlestick at Brian, and Brian just begs him like, "Hey, think of your daughters," and this kind of hesitates Dreamer a little bit.
Right.
Brian like it slaps
he
him,
nabbed him in the eye.
hits him
Yeah.
with the candlestick. It's like I think the same can go for him. The same advice he would say, as he has a daughter of his own. But no, this was a very entertaining match, and like I said, the window of opportunity, I think it's finally open for Brian Myers. As a single star, who knows? I mean, especially with the contract expiration of one Matt Cardona, as his contract just expired after the All Out pay-per-view, and as everybody's aware, he only signed a five appearance deal, which is pretty.
It's pretty low.
Unusual.
Yeah. But I think, how many does Brock have in his fucking contract? Tell me.
Well,
does he have something like 12, and then they'll spread 12, and then they'll spread them out once a month, something like that?
Well, the way I see it, I mean, when he was under contract, I would say so, but I don't even think he's under contract right now. He's a free agent, technically.
To my knowledge, yes. There's a lot of talk about where he'll end up, but I have a strong feeling that he's going to end up back in WWE. If he doesn't do a tour of Japan, I wouldn't be surprised to see him tour Japan. But obviously right now he can't. So, After that, they had the rundown. Madison Rayne, was that her name? And Josh Matthews. Jesus Christ, I'm stumbling tonight. Do the rundown for Bound of Glory. It's October 18th. That's 3 weeks from now. And then they get into the X Division title match. Raju issues his open challenge, and Dan's girlfriend wins the title to his open challenge.
Let's put it this way: the way Rohit has it, he says another opportunity. Obviously, he pans this out. Talking about that he's a first-round draft pick. He's here to give everybody a chance. He's acting like a friendly person. That's still not going to change the fact that I don't like the fucker. So,
I don't know why you don't like the guy.
Listen, it's nothing against him. I just find him very, very bland. Like, if you were to pull like a regular bowl of Rice Krispies and not add strawberries or a little bit of sugar onto it, add a little Splenda or something. That's how I look at it. So, you have Rohit in here. All of a sudden, you have Willie Mack. And he's like, whoa. You've already had your opportunity, okay? You're a lost. It's time for somebody else. Who will answer tonight's defeat Rohit challenge? It wasn't necessarily a title match as specified. So, we finally have Jordan Grace out here. Willie Mack tries to distract Rohit. And, Jordan Grace gets the pinfall, 1, 2, 3 with a roll-up. Everybody thinks, all right, we have a new X Division champion. This is awesome. This is like Jacqueline winning the Cruiserweight title in 2004 against Chavo Guerrero on SmackDown. Like, how great can that fucking be? But, this is a different circumstance. I love Jordan. Not just personally. But,
yeah.
I mean, obviously after that, Rohit is irritated. He explains what happens to the official. David Penzer basically announces that the X Division title was not on the line. And still, your X Division champion, Rohit, but, Jordan Grace is still the winner of this bout. So, can we possibly see a title match leading up to Bound for Glory in a couple weeks in an intergender match?
I believe that she is part of the match. I think it's like a 6-way match. I'm trying to remember the other participants that were mentioned. I don't, hang on. Do I have it here in my notes? Yep, I do. Willie Mack, Trey Miguel, Jordan Grace, TJ Perkins, Chris Bay, and Raju. So they're all going to be going at it for the X Division title. I don't mind Rohit Raju nearly as much as you do. I think he has his place. He'd probably be better off in the local indies, and no offense to him, to like the local Knights of Columbus Hall or something. I don't think he's as bad, but I mean, he's you know, he's all right to watch. I don't think he's like a superstar quality, but I thought this was I thought that this was actually, I hate intergender wrestling. I think that you know that. I thought that this was quite the enjoyable portion of the show. It's probably one of the best parts of the show, believe it or not.
Right.
With the Jordan Grace winning it and then being taken away, and it being taken away and explained that she is not the champion. So,
which such a big disappointment. Right? Let's just put it that way.
For you, yes.
Oh, of course, always for me. You know, Jordan Grace, Deonna Purrazzo, either way, a win wins for me. So what is it? The next match here, or
yep, the Rascals, and I think that was the backstage segment, where Rohit Raju and Scott D'Amore were meeting, according to my notes at least. So next match was the Rascals and Triple XL. What do you think of the tag team Triple XL? I mean, honestly,
you know, something with the ability of oh my gosh, what is his name?
Ace Romero.
Ace Romero, yes. So, you know, that guy can do it all. And obviously he's been on the path of, you know, losing weight and everything.
Right.
Like, let me tell you, for a big guy of his stature, he can move. He could definitely move for him.
He can do a lot. He can dive through the ropes. You see that shit? Like during the guy's amazing. And have you followed him on Twitter or social media at all? He's been losing a lot of weight. He's not nearly as big as he was, you know, when he first came in. You can definitely tell, especially when he's putting the pictures side by side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's something I'm going to have to do. So they were going against Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier. So towards the end here, we had Wentz talk trash to AC, who hoists him up by the throat. AC comes into a knock, you know, Wentz down silly, but then he avoids and super kicks AC out. Hot fire flame on Larry D for the 1, 2, 3. I mean, honestly, as good of a tag team, Larry D and AC Romero, AC Romero. Honestly, I really don't see him as a tag team for much longer.
You don't think?
I think this is going to be the breakout for AC, because I really do see big potential.
I do too. I think you're right. I don't think that Larry D is going to be there, like, as a, you know, I don't know how long his contract is, what his deal is, but he just doesn't seem like one of those guys. He seems like one, and no offense to the guy, because he's all right. You know, he's not on the level of AC Romero, but he just seems like he's one of those guys they picked up along the way when they were working with some local indie for like a Twitch stream or something, you know? So, you know, it's like he's all right. And they work together well as a tag team.
And you know what? That's the thing with tag teams, too. Obviously, you see something out of the other guy, and that's usually how it goes. You know, you have your Marty Jannetty, Jimmy Amble Neidharts. You have your, who else? You have your John Morrison. You have your, you know, shit like that. So.
Yeah. The Rascals won the match. I thought this was, considering they were going against guys 3 times the size, I feel like it shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? They gave the Rascals a little bit too much, I thought, and they should have actually squashed them. Personal opinion. I mean, there's a rematch from Victory Road, so they wrestled each other just a couple days prior. I just don't think that it should have happened that way. You know, personal opinion. Usually, when you get wrestlers that are enormously oversized compared to guys that size, they should, like I said, they should just get annihilated. It shouldn't be like an actual contest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a styles clash. I mean, this ain't your typical Lex Luger body slamming Yokozuna.
That's right, sir. That's right. So going on was the ladies tag team match I'm sorry. I have to use Impact terms. I'm sorry. The Knockouts tag team match. It was Taya Valkyrie, Rosemary against Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan. Taya Valkyrie annoys the her acting, her facial expressions. She just annoys me. I'm sorry, but she's a very beautiful woman. Don't get me wrong. It's just, and I never noticed this before, but I guess I must have noticed it before. But do you realize that she imitates her husband when she's coming out to the stage? The way she does the arm. I never realized that until just, I don't know, maybe like I never wasn't paying attention, but she does his whole shtick as she's coming out and at the top of the stage before she walks down. But I thought this was actually a really cool match. I really like Kiera Hogan. I think she's great. Tasha Steelz is awesome too. I like her. I mean, Taya's good, but she's just, I don't know. I think it's her acting abilities that drive me nuts and don't have me convinced. If you get what I'm saying.
You know what? I don't think it's her acting abilities as much. But I think it's more of just like her reputation and who she is. Like, hey, I'm John Morrison's wife.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that.
It doesn't beat the fact of how good of a wrestler she is. I mean, obviously, she's had some time down in AAA. She's had some time down in Mexico for her career. I remember when she first arrived in TNA. Oh boy, what was that gimmick that she had? She used to come out in like a crown and everything. You know, it looked like something out of Sleeping Beauty. And then she just turned into this. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I guess it's all part of the character, but I mean, nothing really can, outtouch her wrestling ability. But we have the spear by Rosemary, and she hits out the what was it, like a double underhook sit out power bomb?
Yes. Yep.
The win. So. And, well, let's just put it this way. I think this is like the first Impact show that we've seen where we haven't seen Hogan and Steelz face Nevaeh and Havoc.
Well, if you notice in the background or during the match, they were watching the match on the screen, Nevaeh and Havoc. And I was just like, oh, geez, here we go again.
This is the point that I brought up weeks ago. Where the fuck is this going? This ain't going nowhere. This is just like a rivalry where it's like, all right, you have a limited amount of women on your roster, and it's all like, well, let's just put these two together, and then the top woman that we have, let's just have them face off. That's the way I see it. I mean, I really don't see any progress within this women's division at the moment, despite the fact of having Jordan Grace switching over to the men's gender, being like, hey, I'm going to take the X title next.
What you said was the women with the roster, like how, basically that they have a small roster, that the women keep wrestling each other. I think that's the whole entire roster is like that in Impact, personal opinion, because Anthem just doesn't seem to want to dish out a heavy amount of money to bring in certain people. Now, they really actually kind of splurged when they brought in the guys like Heath Slater and Brian Myers and EC3. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like they really want to grab certain people, you know what I mean? Because it's just like they don't have a real television deal. I mean, they're on Access now, but not everybody gets that channel. So, so I think that the roster's damaged because of that, But they'll bring in guys like Johnny Swinger because he's friends with like Tommy Dreamer or something, So.
Wow.
And feature him very heavily on the show, which I just find very annoying.
Speaking we'll get to that. Swinger, we're getting there right now. Yeah. So speaking of Swinger, we have the Deaners taking on Crazy Steve and Johnny Swinger. Or should I say, or what I would say probably, Team Mood Swing.
Oh, God.
You got crazy people and you got swingers. Mood Swing. There you go. That's a tag team right now.
I like when the Deaners fed the bear or the stuffed animal, the bear. I thought that was pretty comical. It was ridiculous. I like the Deaners a lot. It was an okay match, but when the Deaners win, I don't know what they're really doing with the Deaners because it seems, and this might be part of what I brought up a couple minutes ago with the roster. It's like Impact seems to hire a lot of mid-card type talent and then not necessarily like have guys pushed very heavily. Where are the Deaners going to go? Are the Deaners going to go for the gold at some point? You see where I'm going?
Yeah, I mean, unless Impact does something at Bound for Glory where they do some like tag team turmoil, have
and then
every tag team have an opportunity.
right, and then they win it out of nowhere, something like that. It's like I think, yeah, I find it difficult that they bring in so many guys like that. You know what I mean? Like mid-carding type guys. And no offense to the Deaners, I think they're a great tag team. They're a lot of fun to watch. But
Right.
it's aggravating.
And I think the thing with the Deaners is, it's just two of them. I feel like there's like a middle piece that's missing. So
right. Okay.
Why not bring back? Why not bring back somebody like ODB? I felt like she was a good fit when she brought Diener in. What was it, like 10 years ago when they did some type of gut check challenge and Diener actually was the winner.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember that because I probably wasn't. That was 2010. That's when I stopped watching.
You know what? It might have been a little bit earlier. I want to say maybe like 2000. I want to say 2008, 2009.
I could I'll look on the Impact Plus because the gut check challenges are on their app. So I'll have to check. I just watched actually, was it the most recent season? Didn't they just have one like last year? I think it's exclusive to the Impact Plus app if I'm not mistaken. And it might have been held like oh Lord, in the UK maybe? I could be completely off or half wrong or 90% wrong.
Yeah, when they did have their gut checks, that was it was usually UK exclusive. So
yeah, I'll have to double check it though because I remember they actually filmed some of the matches with the live crowd. It was right before the pandemic started because it was like in that weird building that they recorded in prior to recording empty arena matches. So.
Right.
But it was kind of enjoyable, the ones that I watched. So the main event of the evening was for the tag titles.
Oh, whoa! You know what? Before we get
hold on, what did I miss in between? Jesus!
I want to talk about the backstage segment where you had Scott D'Amore sitting across from Heath, and they're trying to come to fight of,
right.
He's grateful having this opportunity, being a part of Impact, but for some reason they just can't seem to come to terms when it comes to giving Heath a contract.
Right.
And then there was a backstage segment, I know later on, or probably around that same time, where basically he blames Rhino for bringing him into Impact. Like, why did you bring me?
Yep.
So, somewhat of the same guidelines of what WWE did, when it came to terms of storylines, putting Rhino and Heath together and, having them form this tag team. But now this is like a certain circumstance where it's like, hey, you helped me out, now I'm going to help you. But now it's like, oh, now Heath's the ungrateful one because he couldn't land a deal with Impact.
The way that he made it look is that he pulled out his contract that he had the lawyer make up, and Scott D'Amore just flat out said, "Holy crap, that's a lot of zeros," and it's just like, and he got pissed off, threw it up in the air, and obviously we know he's under contract, but it's like, what do you think? Where do you think it's going to go by Bound for Glory?
It'll probably lead up to those two. You know what? I think what they might do is, now that I think about it, if Heath beats Rhino, maybe Heath will earn his guaranteed contract.
Okay. You think they're going to do that, like a match again? Do you think it's going to ruin their friendship? That kind of a match?
Well, I don't think it'll ruin their friendship. I mean, unless they pull some type of fucking finger of doom, or it's all like, "Hey, Rhino, you want to lay down for me so I can win the contract?"
Right.
That's the only way I could see them getting away with that. But other than that, we'll see. We will see.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then probably my favorite part of the night, EC3 throwing the TNA title over the bridge.
That's right.
Bye-bye. Right. See you later. Thank God. Get the fuck out of my screen.
Did you see earlier in the show, Moose was going around the gym looking under every piece of gym equipment to see if he could find it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's not going to be, if you don't see it underneath that fucking weight belt, it's not going to be under there, you fucking jackass. Like, come on now. You just look like an idiot looking around there. And EC3 threw it in the river, kind of similar to, who did that before? Didn't Austin do that to The Rock?
You had Rock and Austin. You had Austin and Rock.
Right.
You had Cena and Edge. Just a bunch of names. If you remember Cena and Edge, that was actually at the Long Island Sound in Hartford.
Oh, was it? Really?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Was it?
Yeah. This was the day after SummerSlam, 2006.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
I
didn't know they did that in Hartford. But yeah. The next match was the tag team champions, Motor City Machine Guns and Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. I thought this was quite the enjoyable match. One of the parts that I didn't like, I mean, I guess I didn't, it's not that I didn't like, excuse me, that was that basically Madman Fulton was holding them by their head and lifting them up. It looks like he was going like, okay, dude, you're going to break his fucking neck. Like, just doing that. Like, it's like, obviously, Saban and Shelley were taking some of the pressure off by the way they were moving their arms. But I just thought it was kind of, Jesus Christ. It was a little bit.
You know what? I think the painful part of this match was Ace pulling out the playing cards and then basically slicing in between the fingers of Alex Shelley.
Paper cuts are the worst. This overall was a pretty good match. The obviously the Machine Guns won by their finisher. I don't remember what they called it.
What is it called?
I don't know. Detroit Rock City. I don't know. It was pretty. No, wait, do I even have the right state? Oh yeah, I do have the right state. That's right.
A lot of band references today.
Right. Overall, I thought this was a really good show. I mean, it was fun. They're gearing up towards Bound for Glory in 3 weeks. I think that Impact really fucking killed it tonight with their television product. It was one of the. I haven't watched it in a few weeks. I mean, I have, but I haven't really fully paid attention. But this is the first time I watched it in its entirety in a couple of weeks, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty fun sit through.
I think the last time we saw Impact, we saw fucking Hernandez and Rhino fighting over, the whole money scandal thing, and then after they were like, split it.
Yeah, but now it's Hernandez and Falaba, if you notice throughout this episode. And I was just like, what the fuck? They're still doing this shit? Like, it was just ridiculous. It's comical. But
and the end of the show, you had the North coming out, trying to
get the distraction. That's right.
Yep. The brothers coming out. So definitely a possibility of maybe, like I said, maybe a tag team turmoil match or a possible four-way tag team
match through them. Yeah. Yeah, I think I want the North. I mean, never mind. I don't want to say what I want, but I think the North would be great to win that titles back. They're great. They're a great tag team, I think.
Yeah, they definitely should. I mean, I can't really see the Good Brothers doing anything except maybe putting younger talent over. I think the team of Ace and Madman is still kind of odd to me. Obviously,
it's very odd. Yeah.
Obviously, it's some type of resemblance to like Michaels and Diesel from '93. Yeah. Put it that way. So maybe sooner down the line, you'll see those two going at it. Maybe for the world title. Who knows? And then Motor City Machine Guns. You have the veteran tag team aspect. So if anything, I think the North should pick up the win here.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be. I think that'd be great for them to win the titles back because I think there's no one really more deserving in Impact right now. Those guys they were great tag team champions when they had the belts. I thought,
Production wise, I think Impact puts on the best shows, whether they have a crowd or not. For them to not have a crowd, they still put on a hell of a show.
I think you're right. I mean, compared to others. You know, you got WWE who's overdoing it with the Thunderdome. I think I can't fucking stand the Thunderdome thing. I tried watching Monday Night Raw today. This is Wednesday, by the way. I tried watching Monday Night Raw today, and it's rather ridiculous, distracting. The camera work is fucking annoying. It's, you know, and everything is just it's just too over the top. Why do they need such a big building if they're doing you know, if they're doing no audience TV tapings and then have to do a Thunderdome? I think the whole concept is just ridiculous. I mean, the fans fall for it, obviously, because they want to be a part of it, you know?
I mean, if it's a way of expanding your social distance, obviously it's just a waste of space, you know.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
you know, you wanted to bring up Monday Night Raw. There's actually one segment in Raw that I did enjoy this week. Obviously, these past couple of weeks, we've seen Retribution, you know, causing havoc, you know, pulling some NX, you know, pulling some Nexus type, you know, shades of the Nexus, you know, destroying the whole building and everything. But now,
right,
you know, the leader has been revealed, and it's that's you know what, the way I see it, I said the same thing for Brian Myers. It's the window for window of opportunity, especially for Mustafa Ali. Hopefully they don't change him, you know, change his name, you know, call him like Hacker or something like that, because obviously, you know, months prior there was these segments going on with this Hacker going on in the WWE, and obviously he was revealed. I wouldn't really necessarily say that he was revealed, because you never really saw any segment from that Hacker segments again. But with Ali now as the leader of Retribution, or, you know, this cult, like I said, it's a big window of opportunity, especially with all the missed opportunities he had, especially with last year. As a man, well, you were there too. Obviously, we were at the Money in the Bank 2019 pay-per-view, and we saw Mustafa Ali was right there, right as he was about to grab the briefcase. Who comes walking out? None other than sit on my flower couch, Brock Lesnar, fucking watching how does Wrestling Rampage say it? Fucking Little House on the Prairie, you know? Fucking Brock Lesnar, here he comes. Got to ruin everything.
That's my guy. Listen, I gotta tell you something. When that happened, I popped. I'm gonna tell you. You know why I popped? Everybody thinks I'm fucking crazy because it came out of nowhere and it was the least expected thing. Did you expect it to happen?
I didn't expect it to happen, but that's where all my disappointments went down.
Did it make sense? Not necessarily, but we watch professional wrestling to get excited, to get, you know, to have something out of nowhere shock us, right? And that definitely was shocking and came out of nowhere, and I loved it. I thought it was great, and it gave us a couple months of fucking boombox, fucking Lesnar dancing in hip hop clothes. I mean, come on now. I mean, I got enjoyment out of that for a good couple months. So,
you know, that was a good laugh. But when it comes to aspects of actually getting a world title, do you really think Brock Lesnar actually needs a Money in the Bank briefcase?
Do you think he needs anything?
Like that?
Do you think he needs to come in and sign that deal with WWE? Do you think he needs that money? I don't think so.
All he has to do is sit down. God forbid, he has a hot wife at home with Sable, and you know.
I doubt she's hot. That plastic surgery's got to be melting off now. I mean, she's like 60. Jesus.
Well, it was the attitude there. I think Carol made a right move.
But on a serious note, yeah, I just don't think that he needs the money to be doing things. I think he's set up, you know, and if he comes back, like I said, a couple times a year, that's fine. The reason is people get pissed off because they give him the title every time. I'm going to tell you, it never shows up on TV. I'm going to compare this to when I was a kid. You did not see Hogan on TV nearly as much as you saw him. Like, you think, you know what I mean? We all knew he was a champion, but they'd also show like 30-second promos because he was coming to your town somewhere like fucking New Haven, Connecticut, East Bumblefuck, New Jersey. They'd shut, you know, because he was going to be wrestling Earthquake or Big Boss Man at a house show or some bullshit. So it's pretty much very similar in the fact that, you know, people complaining about that stuff, but it's very similar in that manner.
You know, here's a question. Can you imagine having fans nowadays with, mixed in with like wrestling from like the 60s. Like imagine having Bruno Sammartino having a title from like 1963 to 1971 with our of this generation.
The fans today would lose their fucking minds.
Yeah,
they would fucking lose them because you know what? Like he wrestled once a month at the Garden, and he was a champion. He won every time. The fans today can't tolerate that kind of storytelling, and you know why? You know why they can't tolerate it.
You know what it is, Rick. This is going to be the big word of the day. You want to know what it is? Starts with a big L. Nope, it's not loser. It's loyalty. Because everybody wants to see something different. They don't want to stick with the same superstar.
You know what?
Obviously, everybody has their fan favorites. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has their fan favorites. But once in a while, you get sick of that fan favorite.
Trust me. I get what you're saying. When I was a kid, I didn't like seeing Hogan as a champion all the time. You know what I mean? He held the fucking title for. Yeah, I like to see a change up every now and again. So when they changed it up finally after 4 years and they lost the title, I thought, given Andre, the way it was done perfectly. You know what I mean? Right. Because they still kept him strong. You know what I mean? That he wasn't, he didn't just fucking get his ass whooped. And so it gave him the opportunity. I mean, what was it? Less than a year later, Savage won the title, and then he won the belt a year to the day after that.
Yep, in the same arena.
Yeah. So, it's that they still kept Hogan strong, but the fans today, it's because people think that fans wouldn't be able to tolerate it. It's because, or Vince, says that. It's because Vince basically programmed his fans to believe that way, that they're not tolerable to, or don't have that kind of patience where they want crash TV and all that other stuff. You know why it is? It's because Vince just, I've always said there's two different kinds of fans in this world. There's wrestling fans and there's WWE fans. WWE fans live in their own bubble, live in their own world, and they don't know anything else outside of it, and they look at anything else that's in a wrestling ring as bootleg and all that other kind of shit. Right. So you get what I'm saying here with that? It's just like Vince programmed his fans, the WWE universe, ever since the 1990s with the Attitude Era and all that other stuff. And that's why around that time period, belts started changing basically weekly, monthly. You get what I'm saying? And it's just, he programmed fans to have that kind of mentality that they couldn't sit there and watch a champion for years, like a Sammartino, a Hogan, a Flair, or name anybody else. It's all that thing in the 90s. What's that?
A Backlund too,
Oh yeah, Backlund. Let's not forget Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, I just find it, fans nowadays tolerate months of a reign instead of having like somebody hold it for a year, 2 years, 3 years.
A year is considered a long time by today's standards, and to me, that's still considered pretty short from when I grew up. You get what I'm saying here? Because you think about it, it's like the longest reigning champion. Wasn't CM Punk was in recent history? He held the WWE title for, I don't know, was it 500 days or something like that? It was like almost 2 years before he lost the belt, which I think is incredible. And God bless him, because, it's like WWE does not have that kind of, vision with any of their guys in order to hold the belt for that long. I mean, look at the people that are in there these days. I mean, you can't put that belt on fucking Seth Rollins for that long, for God's sakes. Brock, yes, I believe Brock you can do that with, but...
I mean, Seth is a tolerable champion. I mean, obviously, when he had his run, 2014, winning the briefcase, he was probably one of the best, modern day wrestlers to hold that briefcase leading up to, next year's WrestleMania. And then obviously that year was practically his year. He defeated Brock, he defeated Roman without necessarily pinning Brock. He ended up becoming a a double champion with the WWE and the United States Championship. Shades of like Luger and WCW.
Right.
And then, he had some great bouts. He had matches throughout the years against like Triple H. He fought Sting, which possibly was Sting's last match at, Night of Champions. Cena, and just like the list goes on and on when it comes to Rollins. And,
right.
He's practically lived up to becoming, one of the faces of that company nowadays. So.
I just don't think that he has that superstar potential to be that person that's able to cross into the mainstream. Actually, who is these days? Nobody's able to cross into the mainstream. It's Jesus. I mean, and the WWE has a lot of people that have been able to in the past, whether it be Cena, Rock, Hogan, where they were on news outlets and they were, they were in movies and cartoons and all that other crap.
Well, I mean, if you want to consider Roman,
would you think? Yeah, would you really think that he's going to be able to be skyrocketing into the mainstream in movies and all that other crap?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's going to transition into movies as quickly as Rock did or as Cena, but I mean, I would say maybe towards the peak. Towards like the end of his career, there's a possibility. I mean, because you got to think about it this way, people who are like 10, 12 years old right now, they're going to be talking about Roman Reigns within the next 10, possibly 15 years, once he transitions out of wrestling.
They don't have any of those stars right now that's bigger than the company, is basically what I'm saying. Hogan and Flair. I mean, everybody knows who Hogan is, or the other guys that I mentioned. The Rock, Austin, you know what I mean? Everybody. You can go to the supermarket, they're going to be on the TV Guide or some bullshit. I mean, do they even make the TV Guide anymore? I don't even know. I have no idea. But
it's still on Channel 17? I don't think so.
I remember you used to have to wait until it scrolled back over to see your channels that you were looking for.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
But you know what? I probably could come to terms of agreement when it comes to like, superstardom. Because you really got to think about it. Like the last guy who was practically active, I guess you would say, when it came to like superstardom basis was probably Undertaker. I mean, besides Brock, who was,
It's an interesting question. I mean, the guy's already been around for what, 30 years in WWE?
Right, but his name's brought up. So
yeah, but I mean, has anybody been created since? I think Cena was like the last of those guys that was the crossover into the mainstream.
Well, you know what? If you really look at it, I mean, if you want to talk about the three guys who were supposed to be like the next big faces of that company as comes to like stardom, obviously Roman's one of them, and then the other two, you already know who I'm going to say for the other two, Rollins and Ambrose. Where's Ambrose? Obviously, that didn't really tolerate. Now you see him as one of the biggest stars right now in AEW.
Right. So I don't know, but I still don't think that AEW is going to have a crossover anytime soon. I think the one person that the people know the most in there obviously is Jericho. Right. You know what I mean? And people think that is just that thing. People that I know that are WWE fans, they've asked me, "Oh, is that thing that Jericho's doing?" So they don't watch other wrestling. This is the universe that I'm talking about, where it's like there's WWE fans and there's wrestling fans. There's more than one fucking wrestling organization.
Well, that's what's going to transition some younger fans nowadays into watching AEW. Obviously, they're going to see one of those former WWE guys,
and like, that's how it always works with a new organization. There's people that complain, it's like, oh, there's too many WWE guys over there, and even they said, Jericho and Tony Khan said, we're not interested in every WWE guy. There's only certain guys. But you know what I mean? Miro is marketable in a way. You just have to do... I mean, I thought he was very marketable in WWE. Just give him the right platform. You know what I mean? Vince... It seemed like Vince did whatever he could do with him, and he couldn't do any more. So now he just he fired him, and now he's in AEW. Same thing with look at this Sean Spears. You know what I mean? Look how Sean Spears is doing. He's doing some great matches.
Look at FTR.
Yeah, perfect example.
Yeah,
those guys wanted out of there, and they're killing it in AEW. I think. I'm trying to think of former, and I'm trying to think of former WWE talents there. It's really only a handful of guys if you look at the roster there, right?
Yeah. Look at Cody and Dustin too. You have
Dustin's
guys.
a legend. Dustin's a legend. You know what I mean? The guy has been around for 35 years or so in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
The guy can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's not going to stay with the same company over and over. That's what people are also not realizing is most of the time, the majority of the time, people don't stay with the same fucking company.
Right.
All right. They're not going to, just because they're famous somewhere else, doesn't that mean that's where they're going to retire.
Right. Perfect example you could probably say is like Sting.
Yeah. He never worked WWE. He in years he came in and worked 3 or 4 matches, and then retired because of injury, because he got injured there. He could have kept going another year or so, maybe.
Right.
I think he should. Personal opinion, I think he should have came in way earlier, because he worked in TNA for quite a few years, and worked some pretty good matches in TNA for a while. But
he definitely made a standout when it came to TNA, from being like one of those underground promotions in Nashville up to being like a nice. I wouldn't really say global. I mean, they did some tours in Japan and stuff. Well, yeah, I could probably.
But he really only had to work one night a week, basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. He was practically making the same guaranteed money as like WCW was.
Yeah.
Just shorter dates. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Dan. What else you got tonight?
Something else. Also with WWE related. Did you happen to see that Braun Strowman picture?
No. What Braun Strowman picture are we speaking of?
All right. So this was brought up by Hannibal. I seen the picture earlier, but I wasn't looking at this picture full detail. It was basically Braun Strowman showing off his abs. Basically saying like, new look or whatever. And suddenly you see on the right hand side towards the sink is a syringe. So
what?
I'm not sure if that was supposed to be like a funny, or I know Hannibal was talking about like guys usually like injecting themselves with like the B12 vitamins instead of taking the pill for some reason. Not sure why that says. I would probably say the pill is probably a lot more safer than taking a syringe.
Right.
Possibly could be anything. And I'm not going to sit there and say Braun's juice, because obviously this guy's a former strongman, competitor.
Right.
It obviously can't be that.
I'm trying to find it. I don't see it. I find it comical that you're mentioning this. I don't. Let me see this. Hang on. Keep talking, Dan.
Right. So yeah, I kind of find it a little bit comical. I'm not sure if that was intentional or if it was just like one of those things where he just didn't see the syringe there. So obviously people are going to be making their assumptions. Oh, he's juiced up. He's taking steroids. Kind of like the situation probably like a couple of years back. People were sitting there accusing. Well, I wouldn't really sit there and say that he isn't or is, but like guys like Jinder Mahal. You see how ripped that guy was when he came back to WWE.
The dude's a fucking beast, yeah.
And obviously, there's signs and of like taking steroids, because obviously your body breaks out, your back starts to break out, which some form of indication maybe he's getting juiced, or maybe he's just taking some type of like antibiotic prescribed type of steroid that's making him look like that. So I'm not sure what the circumstance is. I mean, I'm pretty sure Vince doesn't want to go back to trial like he did in '94, but it's I don't know. It's such a different circumstance nowadays. I mean, especially with this generation, how this generation is more involved around not size anymore. Like size is just out of proportion nowadays. I
Right.
think I think Eddie Guerrero broke that barrier when he won the WWE title in 2004 at No Way Out.
Right.
That was just going right outside the barrier. Nowadays, it's all about look. It's all about what the hell you could do in the ring, and obviously personality, which I believe that's always been the main figure of like how you deliver yourself in front of an audience, and not only an audience, but your coworkers.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm gonna have to find that photo. I cannot find it right now on the Google machine. So I'm very interested in. I'm sure it was deleted at some point.
I mean, you could definitely find it on Hannibal. You go on YouTube, look up Hannibal TV. He talked about it right there. So I kind of just find it interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. All right, Dan, I'm gonna cut this a little bit short. You good? What else do you got to say tonight, my man? What do you? Let's point them to your social media. Sorry, I can't speak.
All right, guys. If you guys want to find me, you can find me on Facebook at Danny Bryant. You can find me on Instagram at D_BNC187. And you can find me on Twitter and YouTube at DanTheBeast94. Which, on my YouTube channel, if you guys don't know, some of you guys who are already subscribed to my channel, I'm doing a giveaway. And the drawing is tomorrow. So make sure you look up on that video and qualify. Don't want to miss this one out. So, subscribe to my YouTube channel, especially if you're going to be watching my channel and you're not subscribed. What are you doing? Hit that button.
All right, everybody. Don't forget, we have a huge couple of weeks coming up. I just booked a shit ton of guests this evening alone. But you're going to have to wait to see who they are, just in case. I'm thankful for Dan to fill in tonight, jumping on board because the guest that I was supposed to be interviewing had to postpone until next Wednesday, Sergeant Murray. And then I appreciate that because we get to talk some stuff here tonight. It's been a while since we've just shot the shit on wrestling. What's up, Tim?
And also, probably within the next couple of weeks or so, Rick and myself, there's going to be some more on the road episodes.
Yes,
yes. Well,
Let's keep that.
We'll get there when the time comes.
I'm going to be posting a whole lineup of bullshit on the blog, so keep an eye out. If you want to reach me, it's the Rick Del Santo on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to the Pro WrestleZone podcast on YouTube, Apple, Google Machine, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can email me at prowrestlezone@gmail.com. And enjoy your evening, folks. We're going to be talking a lot more professional wrestling in the next few weeks, especially this week. We got more shit coming up. Enjoy, folks. Great to talk to you.